He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the show that makes you smarter and smarter. Or is that dumber and dumber? One of the two, I don't know. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
I think you'll find it's Dumb and Dumberer 2.
Of course, yes.
The classic sequel to the genuine classic Dumb and Dumber. But
yes, and everyone was clamoring for that sequel, weren't they? All those years, people were saying, we demand a new movie. And finally, they listened to the fans.
It's one of the few things, like, a film, I think I made it like 15 minutes in. I'm just like, nah, I'm just walking away. I just refuse to watch any more of this. But anyway, I'm the other host, Niall McGowan.
Yes, and we are joined by two very special guests. First up, we have... How do I describe you? The meme queen is what I tend to go with. We have Alyson Grimm.
Hello. I'm surprised that you sat through Cats and not Dumb and Dumberer.
Well, the thing is, Cats was in the cinema, and Dumb and Dumberer was like at home, so it
was like a sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah, 100%.
Plus, Cats was beyond fascinating.
So whoever had the poll for how long it would take me before I mentioned Cats, pay up.
I mean, not a day goes by where I don't think about that movie.
I think about it all the time.
And also joining us from Annihilation Minute, we have... Do you want me to say your full name?
Well, both middle initials.
Robert E.G. Black.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Robert Example Black. That's the...
Yes, that works.
Oh my God, I'd be calling myself that all the time on shows. What the hell? But anyway, this is minute 61. The minute starts with successful brain slurping, and it ends with some Assassin's Creed action.
I will say, straight off the bat, for people who are keeping track, because I always point them out when they come up, I did mention that minute 2 of Batman Forever was my favorite minute of the whole film. I'll say that this minute is my second favorite minute of the
You've
whole
ranked
movie.
the minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, because I know people might remember the first movie. It was the Joker's mirror and smashing and the big crazy laugh when Jack Napier runs out of the room. That was my favorite minute. For Returns, it was the 4 or 5 still alive, all that stuff. This movie, minute 2, which was technically the opening credits, but I just love that. The symbol and the forever coming up, I think that's amazing. And yeah, within the actual finished film, I would say this is the best minute of the entire movie.
Okay, so listeners, I want you to write in and rank every single minute in order.
But yeah, just people know me, know I like a good villain. I like a bit of atmosphere. I like a bit of Theremin. I like all this stuff. And you're getting a big, ominous, friggin' glowing, evil device.
That's like the evilest color, too. That shade of green.
That's probably why it's my favorite color and has been since, like, birth. Because I am evil.
You were born with a goatee.
I was. I have to shave it every 10 minutes. It just keeps growing back. I can't get rid of the damn thing.
But yeah, so I don't know what it is. It's just like, I just think this is... Maybe because there's so little dialogue, that also helps. It's just like, no, it's just some pretty cool music and some pretty cool visuals.
The best minutes of this movie have no dialogue.
Yes, basically.
That makes sense.
I mean, it does start with a little bit, because we can hear the newsreader telling us how successful the box has been. And the Riddler and Two-Face keep making themselves smarter here on people's brainwaves. Somehow, we still don't know the explanation of how this operates, but... At this point, if they tried to explain it now, I think it'd be more confusing.
It would just make it worse.
It would make it worse. Just leave it now. Okay, fine. I've accepted that it somehow does it.
I will say it also has the continuation of that little bit of like, critics say that the box is turning people into zombies, but Edward Nigma just shrugs and says that's what they said when TV was invented. And it's like, is there a subtext to this movie? Wink. like Joe Schumacher really showing his cards there of like, get it?
This movie is important and meaningful.
It is. It's a masterpiece, let's be honest.
This is the man. The man who created Falling Down, just going like, hey, I make points. Look at the points I'm making. But
Yeah, he's never subtle.
yeah.
In a good way or a bad way. Like, depends your view on it. He's not a subtle director.
I have to ask, though, because this is the point we see all these, this ominous green glow that's going throughout the city. Is this supposed to be a thing that's symbolic in that, like, we as the audience can see these brainwaves going over the sky into the giant box that he's built on Claw Island? Or can all the public just look up and see the swirling green cloud that's going out to this ominous-looking building?
By this point in Gotham, they're probably used to weird stuff like that happening. They don't even think about it anymore.
They don't care. They see it and they're like, oh, it's something else. It's fine.
Probably another clown.
Yeah.
Someone else trying to kill us all, whatever.
Well, I think this would be the time to mention a thing that me and John have sort of complained about throughout the entire movie is that the threat of the box seems to be that, it gets your secrets. But that seems to be the main threat of it. But it shouldn't be that it's stealing your brainwaves, so that the public should be getting dumber, basically. They should be, it should be actually having adverse side effects. So, on the newscast now, you should be hearing, traffic accidents are up 58% and stuff. And, it seems as if the people can see the cloud, but they're that stupid, they're not really thinking to do anything about it because everyone's so enamored by the box. It just seems to be sort of leave it hanging there. It's just is it doing damage to people? Because the end of it's just some people will say that would be an explanation for why Gotham is the way it is in Batman and Robin. Because it's just everyone got their brains sucked out by the box. So, of course, it's this ridiculous cartoon city.
Oh my God,
Batman
it
and Robin
explains so
makes
much.
more sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's my new favorite canon. It's the only explanation for that film.
Yeah. But it just seems that this would be... There's a couple of things, though, we've come up with so far throughout, just doing the show and having to, analyze it minute by minute. But one of them is, I think now should be the time where they start saying, for some reason that we can't connect to this device that's everyone's going crazy for. It's, something's happening in the city where people are a bit more messed up than usual or something. And, it would indicate rather than just Edward Nigma can now steal your bank code or he's a smarter guy or whatever, it's actually having a bit more of a nefarious effect on people. But that never comes up. That's the thing we're just having to piece together, really, in the movie.
Well, also, the more successful the box is, the less he needs anyone's secrets anyway.
Yeah. It seems to be more out of pettiness he's doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
just
becoming
addicted.
rich. He's a successful businessman already. He's insanely wealthy, or in a matter of weeks.
Yeah. It's like Dick Dastardly in Wacky Races, where he's always setting up these traps, even though he's about a mile ahead of everybody else. And it's if you just kept going, you wouldn't need to set up the traps. You're clearly in a vast lead.
He could just win the race and actually be proud of himself. I have won this race.
I suppose there's a satisfaction in a job well done. If you're just I did that too.
I love the combo, though. We were talking about the visuals and the music. The combo of those two things, the music with this green... I don't even know what you want to call it. It's almost got a quality of a mist, but it's the brainwaves coming out. It made me think it's a bit like a Ghostbusters kind of vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just expecting that Peter Gabriel magic, the kick in.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with that song. Every time I watch the movie, I put it on 100 times.
That's the thing, though. You put on that song, the first 5 minutes of it don't sound anything like that. It's a perfectly ordinary song. Then it's just the last couple of seconds are just that. And you're like, I guess maybe he's I should put in something spooky for that Ghostbusters soundtrack, I guess.
And it worked.
Well, I do have to ask, though, as they're going out the window, okay, so we see the green mist is going towards Claw Island. That vast statue that's over on the left-hand side.
One with an erection?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. That has an erection, right?
Yes.
It's symbolic of Edward Nigma, who's having a sustained orgasm while sitting on the throne.
Oh, that reaction on his face.
But it's up there with the old the Little Mermaid artwork. We're we just the illustrator's just shoved in a dick in the middle of this castle and stuff. But it is just what the like once you see it, you can't not see it. That's a giant guy with a huge erection.
You've got to give the
Standing to the
people what
corner.
they want.
We'll also say too, you do get kind of a billboard thing. It's like a giant sign. It looks like it's a UFO sucking somebody up, which is quite appropriate because there's a lot of theremin and whatnot in this. In the music here, we'll say some of the best music of the whole movie. Actually, this minute as well. Just really love this. And the soundtrack. This is called the Nigma Variations: An Ode to Science, which is a terrific title.
Is science in all caps?
No. Sadly, not even an exclamation mark in that.
Oh, that was going to be
no.
my question.
Missed opportunity.
But I did look into a little history of the theremin in film. Just because you get it, it's in there because we've had theremin throughout, but like here it's kind of presented underneath this kind of screeching church organ and a woman doing the woo kind of sound and whatnot. But for some reason, I always thought the theremin only came about when Forbidden Planet hit. Like I always assumed that was the first movie to have the theremin in it. Don't know why. That was a bit of trivia I had locked in my head. Turns out completely incorrect.
Yeah, they've used this thing loads before.
Yeah, well, the theremin, of course, was invented by Leon Theremin in 1920. It was a man who also invented a thing called the Thing, which was a listening device that he hung outside the U.S. ambassador's office in Moscow.
That sounds illegal.
It was drastically illegal.
I
but
feel like
apparently
that's probably the point.
they were apparently much like Edward Nigma, actually stealing all the U.S.'s secrets because they had a listening device just hanging outside, apparently for like ages and ages, just in plain sight. There's this thing just dangling in front of the building.
Like in the TV show The Americans when they put a listening device in the little robot that drops off people's files. I love that.
Or the bonsai tree, the Wyndham Earl
Yes.
sneaks into the sheriff's office in Twin Peaks. But yeah, apparently then it was first used in the 1931 Russian film Odna. And the plotline of Odna is thus: a young teacher encounters resentment when she tries to start a school for the children of illiterate shepherds, which is the most 1930s Russian plot of any film I've ever heard.
Hey, how do you think the Soviet Union got the literacy rate up so much? By doing that, by sorting out the problem with the shepherds.
It was all
She
down
was
to
a hero.
Apparently, Odna translates to alone, so I guess she was alone in that endeavor. But then, first, I went to America then in Lady in the Dark in 1945, which is a Ginger Rogers musical.
I was in that musical in college. It was the first time I had ever heard of it, and no one has ever heard of it.
No one's heard of it since.
Can you recall a theremin been used at all throughout the production?
I was like 22. I was probably drunk most of the time, so no.
Just lying around, a completely bomb down your head, like, what was that weird noise, man? What's going on?
Aliens? Cool.
And then, of course, it was most famously sort of cemented as being like a weird sound by Miklos Rozsa, who started using it as like a standard instrument in the scores for Spellbound, which, of course, is the Hitchcock movie with the Salvador Dali sort of surrealist sequence in the middle of it. Weirdly enough, John, you might recall way back when we were in Edward Nigma's office, we were like, what's the deal with all these eyes he has everywhere?
Or at Seinfeld.
Yeah. But just like stuck up all over the place. It's like random eyes. And it's like, yeah, and that sequence in Spellbound, there's just loads of eyes everywhere. So maybe it was just like, it's weird. Put that in too. And of course, yeah, it also featured in The Lost Weekend. And then the first use of it in sci-fi was Rocket Ship XM. And yeah, from there it just sort of became the standard like alien sound. So you associate it with what we talked about in the hiatus there, Mars attacks and things like that.
It is very creepy.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, no, I was going to say, I wonder if there's something about the frequency that like gives you chills or feels spooky, you know? Like I know they've said like in certain like locations that are supposed to be haunted, there's something like in the frequency of the pipes that like inspires dread just physiologically. So I wonder if it's something like that.
Physiological Dread. That's my new album, out soon.
You can have it.
That's a good question though. Like, what is it about it that makes it seem really sort of otherworldly? Like, the only thing I could think of would be just because it's such a modern creation, because it's only out within the last 100 years. I guess it's just like, because people were just used to like centuries of like string and percussion instruments and whatnot, and then you're getting a completely new sound just coming out of, and you're not even touching the instrument and stuff.
Yeah,
so
and
it's just
not
a weirdness
like
around it.
It's not like it's a new instrument that you play in the same way. Like, it doesn't. You make a new stringed instrument. It's like, oh, okay, I understand this. Whereas this, it looks and feels and acts alien as well as sounding alien. It's like you can't wrap your head around. It's not making music in the way a guitar would. It is literally like, woo.
But yeah, like I think in terms of like Batman connections, the only one I could really come up with is that in that movie, Frank, the not Frank Sidebottom biopic where he's wearing the Frank Sidebottom head. Maggie Gyllenhaal plays the Theremin in it, as I recall. Of course, Maggie Gyllenhaal's in The Dark Knight, so there you go. Everything's connected.
I've not seen that movie, not The Dark Knight. Of course, I've seen that, Frank, because it's not Frank Sidebottom. That's what annoys me.
Well,
it's clearly supposed to be that our listeners might not know who that is. Actually, Frank Sidebottom is like a comedy. Well, he died unfortunately. A comedy musician who wore a giant papier-mâché head, which looks almost exactly like the one in that movie. They've just copied it. But that's not his story at all. It's not even slightly close.
Yeah. He's not American, for one thing.
He's not American. He's very, very, very English. In fact, specifically from Timperley, which is a little tiny place near Manchester.
Yeah, me and John saw Frank Sidebottom a couple of years ago, actually, before he died.
And he fell down on stage trying to get his shorts off, which was hilarious.
He was very, very drunk.
We've all been there.
Yeah, I will recommend Frank. Frank as a movie, though, is really, really good. Like, it's nothing to do with him, but you get this Frank Sidebottom documentaries out there, so you can still get your fix of that if you want.
I just wish it was about him, because he deliberately sings in the most irritating nasal way. It's great. And he'll sing in the wrong rhythm and melody and everything. It'll all be off, and that's the joke. Like he does the Beatles for the benefit of Mr. Kite, and the tune isn't even close. He's like, for the benefit of Mr. Kite, there will be a show tonight on trampoline.
Wow, I hate it.
It's wonderful. He does the Sex Pistols. It's amazing. Anarchy and Timperley. It's amazing.
But yeah, within the minute, of course, then we do get the shot of the giant, ominous Claw Island box that is now looming out in the coast of the city.
I love it.
Yeah, I think maybe because they add in this, like, when you see it, too, there's an ominousness to it, which I really love, because I love ominous things. And at this point, though, I think we saw earlier, but you see now, though, it has the big sign up saying Nigma Tech. So it's the establishment of Edward Nigma's own company. I'm quite frustrated, though, in looking at that, because obviously, people who've liked us on Facebook and whatnot will have seen the banner image that I made for this season, which is the bat symbol, which has like all the word minutes made up of little. There's like the outline of Batman as the M, and there's a question mark for the I, and et cetera, et cetera. Really annoyed now to see that he had made the M into the box shape, and I had the box as a U, which was a real pain in the ass because like it doesn't look quite right. And now I'm like, if I just paid attention to the film more before doing this, I could have just had it as the M.
If you just prepared.
Yeah, no, I'm just pretty damn frustrated. But
you should have known, Niall. It's terrible. I want your resignation on my desk in the morning.
One thing, though, I should say is, of course, in the Bachelor draft, because his name was not Edward Nigma. Actually, I'll go through that with you guys first just to see what you think. Okay. What do you think of the name Edward Nigma as a character? Like, are you cool with it? Or are you like, nah, it's just ridiculous and stupid. Why would you ever name a character that?
It is ridiculous and stupid, and I think that's why I like it. It's
it
so
works
comic
for a Batman
book.
name.
Yeah.
Well, in the original draft that the Bachelors did, they changed his name to Lyle Heckendorf. So, what do you think of that in comparison to Edward Nigma?
Heckendorf.
Yeah.
I just want it to sound like it's saying something, and it doesn't. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not like a pun or anything.
I like
Right.
Edward Nigma.
I think the reason maybe they changed it to Heckendorf is because then he names his company instead of Nigmatech, Hecktech.
Oh.
That's the entire reason for that name.
I think so. I think it's up there with.
You're probably right.
It's like when they obviously named Mr. Magorium that because it rhymed with Emporium. And that was the first thing that put me off that movie. It was like, wait a minute. You can't already think of a better rhyme than that.
They just reverse engineered the movie from that rhyme.
Why not? That's the way
Well, if your
I
name's
do
Magorium, you have to open an Emporium.
It's
How could
the
you
law.
not? Yeah.
We should have had like the whole movie. It was called the Mr. Magorium's Wonder Store, and then at the end, Natalie Portman was just like, you know what? It'd sound better. Then you don't even hear the word. It just cuts to the title saying Mr. Magorium's Wonder Emporium.
Yeah, setting up a sequel. But I love this. I'm going to call it his evil lair, his base.
Oh, that's totally what it is.
It is.
This is a full-blown evil lair.
It's the design, the colors. I think it's quite weirdly for this movie. It's a bit Tim Burton. I could see him enjoying this because it's got a kind of a Frankenstein vibe going on, and it also gave me a sort of He-Man feeling. You could imagine a villain to live
Definitely. So where is this island in relation to Gotham City? Again, like, do the populace of Gotham City just not notice this giant
blender?
neon green?
here. Big blender. Yeah.
I think everybody's aware of it. They just don't care. It's just sort of out in the docks. They're like, yeah, that's where Edward Nigma set up this big creepy looking. It's all the electricity going off it and everything's like that doesn't even look safe.
I think that's to tie into the plot, though. Like, it's that whole, TV is distracting people thing. TV rots your brain. Because they're so distracted. They're so invested in the box. They're living in that world now. They don't notice what's going on around them.
We needed to see that moment where he built it and everyone freaked out and then it turned on and they just relaxed.
Oh, that'd be cool. I'd like that. As far as I know, that was never in any of the drafts I've read. That would have been a cool scene, though.
No, you think the one person though who would be on the ball with it would be Bruce Wayne because he had the opportunity to be involved in the box. Presumably, he's not watching TV and getting his brain sucked out. Do you think, unless he's just really distracted by other things in his life, you think he'd
There's
be
no
like,
way he watches TV.
But Alfred does, so he probably gets it like what's that, secondhand TV?
Oh, maybe it affects you like secondhand smoke.
Well, that's the thing though. From doing Batman Returns 1 minute at a time, Bruce Wayne watches a lot of TV because every moment of exposition in that movie is delivered by him watching TV and seeing like, oh, that's what's happening out in the world. We cut into Jim Carrey doing some mild Jim Carrey shtick with his jittering, and as the brainwaves are been plugged directly into his head here. I'm kind of weirded out though as to why he still got the cover on his chair, because
I like it.
It kind of reminds me though of like when your parents wouldn't let you take the wrapping off the sofa just because you stained it or something. He's like, don't ruin my new chair.
I hate it when people do that. Why?
Yeah.
Why? Don't leave plastic on it.
It seems though like this is supposed to be a reveal later on. It's like, what's gonna be the chair? And then you see it, and it's just like, oh, it's a big chair with like two things of the Thinker as the arms. And it's like, well, what's the reveal? That should be here, because that would be a good statement of like, yeah, now he's getting smarter. He's sitting on the Thinker chair. But then they kind of spoil the reveal of like this jacket later on is the jacket that lights up, and that's a reveal when that comes. So it's like, well, why are you showing me this now? And not the chair.
Well, him sitting in the throne with all the brainwaves flying in, and he's twitching, he's jabbering. Right,
it's a sustained orgasm.
Oh God, yeah. He's edging.
He's been doing his tantric meditation so he can keep this going as long as possible.
That's why he's got it cloth draped so he can clean it easier.
Oh, there you go. That completely explains it now.
It all makes sense.
As Two-Face made him put that on too. He's like, I'm not sitting in that thing after you've been splooging all over the
I can't remember where I was going now. I'm too distracted by that he's sitting in the throne and he's dressed like this. Instantly, I thought Supreme Leader Snoke.
Oh yeah.
It's a bit of a Snoke jacket because Snoke dresses like Hugh Hefner.
It's a snoking jacket, if you will.
A snoking jacket. That's amazing.
It is quite Snoke. It kind of suits, I guess, in a weird way, because he had Palpatine's window in his office earlier. They threw Ed Begley Jr. out of. So now he's evolved as Supreme Leader Snoke. It's a natural progression.
Which, spoilers, everybody, that's kind of the plot.
Well, one thing that bugs me, though, and always has, is, like, he's there by himself. Why has he got the mask on? What's he wearing the mask for? Like, whose benefit is him putting on the makeup, the eye makeup, and then plopping the mask on? If he's
Don't
just sitting
kink shame.
I mean, yeah, maybe it is part of the whole... Maybe that is what they're going for. It's like, yeah, he's having a sexy time, and he likes playing dress-up when he's doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is who he is now. He's so in character.
Yeah.
It literally doesn't come off. He glued it on.
Well, that was always a weird thing with, like, the Frank Gorshin Riddler, is that most of the time, because you're in the 60s show, they didn't really have alter egos. Like, he was just always the Riddler. They never referred to him as Edward Nigma. Like, they knew who he was. Like, the first time you see him in the show, like, he's just walking around in the Riddler suit with the mask off. And everyone's like, yeah, that's the Riddler. He's going to business meetings at, like, the bank.
As the Riddler.
And they're calling him the Riddler. And it's like, so, yeah, we know who that is. But then, on occasion, Frank Gorshin would put on this purple mask, even though he had the Riddler outfit on. And it's like, well, who's that for?
Like everybody already knew. Yeah.
Yeah, this was like, well, it's not as if it was a little like kind of purple bandit mask thing. I was like, well, that's not doing it. Like, it's not as if they're gonna be like, who could it have been? He left a riddle, but he was dressed in the Riddler suits, but he did have a mask on, so maybe it wasn't the Riddler.
We'll never know for sure.
It was someone pretending to be the Riddler.
Ooh.
But
Also, has his... Is it the lighting, or does his mask look slightly different here? It could just be the lighting, the shadow.
That doesn't look any different to me, but I don't know, maybe.
It looked more like glasses before, as now it seems even more pressed into his face. He might have just put it on better.
I think that this would have been the scene, because I've vocalized my displeasure with this mask before, because I just think it looks, the whole film's silly, but this just looks a bit too silly for me. It looks a bit too flimsy. But like, if this were me, like I've said previously, that I would have been doing a thing throughout the whole movie, which what they do at the end when they have like the box overloads on him and his head goes out, kind of gets misshapen and stuff. Mm-hmm. I would have been doing that subtly throughout the entire film, where like every time you see Edward Nigma, he looks a little worse and stuff. And maybe when he's dressing up as Bruce Wayne, it's to more kind of hide the fact that Edward Nigma has become this sort of deformed mess, basically, because of his addiction to the box. But like I would have done, instead of the mask, give him like goggles or something when he's out being the Riddler. And then if you want to do a nod to the mask, because, classically it used to be like a purple mask instead of a green one, you could have had this scene here. You could see his head kind of pulsating or something, and then you could have like little purple rings around his eyes, and maybe the eyeballs are rolling back on his head, so it just looks like they're completely white. And that would look like the comic book Riddler, and there would be your nod. You'd be like, there you go. There's a little nudge to the comic book fans there. But I don't think Joel Schumacher thought that far ahead with things. I think he was just like,
if it didn't involve nipples, he didn't care.
He's still very proud of those nipples. He doesn't see, he does not see the problem with them.
If you want to see him in goggles, just go see Sonic the Hedgehog. He's got some fancy goggles in that.
Really?
Which are weird because they're clearly just regular goggles, and they use like CGI to remove the strap.
Oh.
So he like pulls them out like they're attached to him and puts them on his face. I'm like, that's really strange.
I will say though, fortuitous timing of the Sonic coming out though, because like this past couple of weeks, as we're like doing like it's like a show where we have to talk about Jim Carrey loads, that guy has been everywhere. Like you cannot get like there's so much more like weird Jim Carrey material you can just pull from. Because he's just appearing in talk shows all the time, and in every single one of them, he does something weird. Like he's just he's just an odd fellow. And I think a lot of it is very performative, but still, it's just like so he showed up on Stephen Colbert, and he had like a Dixie jazz band with him, and I don't think Colbert knew that was going to happen because he spent the first 3 minutes just dancing around the studio, and Colbert was kind of sitting going, okay, and then eventually it stopped. And
like, note to self, don't book Jim Carrey.
Yeah. He seems like he's like the man that Twitter can't cancel as well. Like he's been getting into controversies, but he just keeps moving and being loud and annoying and sort of getting in everyone's face that people forget that they were trying to cancel him and stuff. Because he just goes on and does something else. So they're like,
then he just puts up a new painting and he's fine.
I love his paintings. I think they're really cool. I want one. Niall, can we use the Patreon money to buy one?
Oh, they're huge. It'd be expensive.
I don't care. I'll pay anything. So people donate to the Patreon so we can buy a piece of art. There you go.
I think though we already had the. Remember when Rob Lumley was on? He was talking about Val Kilmer's artwork that he bought after Tombstone Minute. I feel we should get a Val Kilmer original because they're shockingly cheap. Like I looked them up, they're like $150 or something.
Oh, I would pay that.
Oh, it's nothing. Yeah.
And then get that Anna Jim Carrey together. And then if we ever bump into Tommy Lee Jones, we can get him to do like a doodle on a napkin or something. Although one man who's definitely not going to do a doodle for anybody is probably Tommy Lee Jones.
He'd slap you.
I have a suggestion for a future Patreon feature, The Island of Dr. Moreau, featuring Val Kilmer.
Yeah, it's one of the. I've actually got that down as an option. It's yeah. I mean, if you want to come on for it, Alyson, you're more than welcome.
Absolutely. I've been wanting to rewatch that movie. I loved it when I was a kid.
I
know it's not good, but I loved it.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
Really?
I've weirdly enough got some.
gotta.
I've got some notes on it for later in the week as well.
Oh,
weirdly
we'll be
enough,
quiet then.
Oh.
Save it. With regards to this, I wish this scene had some kind of like a payoff almost, because I want to see him not just reaching climax. I want to see him getting smarter and smarter before our very eyes. I get that's what's supposed to be happening, but he's just jabbering away like a maniac. I want to see him like doing calculations or do something to show me he's getting clever.
He should be figuring out how to make the green mist invisible.
Even that, anything, something.
Or make the blender into a box.
Yeah, because it's not a goddamn box. I've brought that up.
That's going to be his dying words, is that riddle. Why is a box not a box?
I think that
no one knows.
The more subtle moments of the movie kind of undo some of it because, like, yeah, it's so flamboyant and over the top. But I think like there are like maybe you could interpret it, like throughout the rest of the film, you're getting things like, oh, now he's figured out a way to map people's minds and stuff. And even at the end, Batman's like, you figured out a way to do this and stuff. Whereas initially, I guess the box was just supposed to be 3D TV. It was accidentally sucking out brainwaves. And now he's figured out a way to literally read your mind throughout the course of the film. But they mention it so casually. And it's done so kind of subtly that in a movie that has like a giant box with electricity coming off it and green brainwaves been sucked into it, you kind of miss that because you're just like, I thought every point of this movie was kind of hammered into you because it's you know there's no it's like a giant green sledgehammer more than. One thing I will say though is that in the original concept designs for the Riddler's outfit, I think they were going to use his derby a lot more because I think like at this point in the film that hat never reappears again. But I'll put it in the old Skype chat here. They originally had the derby. It looked like it was supposed to be like the box was inbuilt onto it, so I guess he had it like all the time. So maybe he was constantly getting like a little.
See, I love the derby. Just aesthetically, I wish he had that the entire movie.
Yeah,
but then you wouldn't get the Annie Lennox hair.
So yeah, you see, he's got a little device hanging out the front of it, and this glowing halo around his head. So I guess maybe they're planning to make it like, oh yeah, that's a continual thing. He always has the box on when he's the Riddler.
Would you be at all surprised to learn that when I was a teenager, I was extremely horny for the Riddler?
No,
that tracks.
Not surprised at all.
Yeah.
So that's not Jim Carrey specifically, just the Riddler though.
A little bit of both, honestly.
No, it's got to be the Riddler, right? He has to have the mask on.
Yeah, I mean, it was just him as the Riddler. Yeah.
What was it that did it for you? Was it the spandex or was it the hair?
Yeah, which outfit?
I definitely with the derby. I would say more like classic Riddler.
Oh.
Not the Hugh Hefner.
No.
Oh yeah, I can get behind that though. I thought the derby lends him an impish quality. So I don't know if you're.
Yes.
Alyson Grimm likes the imps apparently.
I do like the imps.
But of course, then we cut back to stately Wayne Manor, where Alfred is just sort of doing his rounds, I guess, and shouts out, "Master Dick!" And not suspiciously at all, Master Dick is up on the top floor there, just right here, Al, just hanging out, I guess.
I'll be honest, my mind went to a bad place though. When he says Master Dick, I just thought if you flip that around, you've got a cool nickname.
Dick Master.
We saw the statue of him, so
So no, like, yeah, like, Dick is just like, Alfred, call me Dick Master, okay? Like,
I love how transparent Alfred is as well, because he says that he was calling out, just to check that Dick was okay, which is a bit of a weird thing to do. He was clearly making sure that he wasn't going to try and sneak by that locked door that we've seen.
what is it with you kids in my forbidden closet of mystery?
What a little scamp.
Because, Dick was not very good at hiding his interest in that. And now Alfred's not very good at hiding the fact that he's clearly checking to make sure he's not sneaking in. So I think we know what's coming.
I'm just wondering, like, what Alfred thinks Dick is doing up there. Because he's just like, are you just hanging out in the hallway? Just like, what are you doing?
Relaxing.
he's playing with toy cars on a little shining carpet.
Well, why not? He's clearly written as a little child.
Yeah.
It would be great, though, if they kept this going for, like, longer throughout the movie, and Dick does this whole thing where he jumps down, does all the backflips to get to the door, and then Alfred's just waiting inside. Like, I knew it!
He's just in there polishing the silver.
He should. What Alfred should have done, because we're going to see, Dick springs into action and leaps and skids and stuff. But that goes into the next minute. But what he should have done is he should have polished the floor like extra slippy to make.
Are you sure he
Dick,
didn't?
Well, maybe he did. To make Dick go flying, and then he catches him in a big net.
Well, that's the thing. Again, that is, and the floor seemed to be almost overly polished anyway in the next minute. But we could get all that into that though as we analyze that next minute.
Maybe Bruce says to him, put some of that grease down for me, would you?
Well, I mean, it's
The bat grease.
it could be a theory. But should we cover it in the next minute? Maybe
We will.
Yeah.
A bit of a cliffhanger.
But we do see Dick jumping into action a little bit. He jumps onto the light fitting, as I said, Assassin's Creed style, but we'll go more into that, I think, on Wednesday.
Yeah, but this point on a Monday, for this season only, we pose a riddle to the guests to see if you, just in the spirit of Batman Forever and whatnot, and to see if you guys can have a crack at it, and then if not, we'll reveal it on Friday. So if you guys are okay with that, I'll ask, riddle me this. I do not have wings, but I can fly. I don't have eyes, but I will cry. What am I?
Lend me your brainwaves, guests.
Yeah.
I am so bad at riddles.
Me too.
If it's something stupid, it's like a cloud or something. But
It's always something stupid.
yeah.
The thing is, Robert, that's what it is.
Oh,
Okay.
Is it really?
Cloud.
you got it. Oh, my God.
Yay.
I'm very impressed.
Well, Robert, that exempts you from the end of the week where I toss a coin to see if our guests live or die. If you get the riddle, you survive. So.
Yeah.
But Alyson, you're still on the
Oh.
chopping board.
Yeah, it's like, you are in for it now, Alyson.
I could be the Jellicle choice.
You could be the Jellicle choice. The ritual has begun.
You got a hot air balloon. To death.
Yeah.
But we will head off into the dark, dark night now. Would our wonderful guests like to tell people where they can find them online? Robert, we'll go with you first.
If you want to find any of my podcasts, you go to lemmingdrops.com. As I said today, I'm from Annihilation Minute, looking at the science fiction film Annihilation, one very dense minute at a time.
I like that. I think that's an interesting choice to do because it's so new, but also so there's a lot to talk about. It's so deep. It's so visual. So it's interesting because a lot of the newer movies people do tend to be like an action. I mean, it is kind of there's action in it, but it's like a straight balls to the wall action movie. So that's a
Right.
good choice. I like that. And
There's a lot to talk about there. Yeah. Plus with the book, the source material.
Yep.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, I didn't even.
And the
think
books
about
it steals things from that it doesn't tell you.
Oh. But people, you've got to check out the show to find that information. We can't give you it all here. Go listen to that. And then Alyson.
You can find me on a special Patreon exclusive episode of Bat Minute where we discuss the movie Cats.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And it was a delight. It was beautiful. It was a wonderful moment in my life.
It comes out on Blu-ray 3 days before my birthday, so I'm having a Cats-themed birthday party.
Oh my god! And our episode, I want to petition it to be an extra feature on the Blu-ray. It should be official.
It should be, yes.
Well, check that out. Because I was going to say, and then check us out, but that is us. So go subscribe to our Patreon, and also talk to us on Facebook at the Batminute Listeners Cave. Come and buy a t-shirt on TeePublic. Niall, we sold a t-shirt.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
man.
like yesterday. We sold that one I made of the Gotham City Police Department logo on a t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's a good, $3 in our pocket there? Thanks, TeePublic. That's a great
we can
cut you give us.
we can still sell them snake oil, John.
Don't worry, that's coming. And we will see you all again on Wednesday for more Batminute Forever.
Woo.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Next time, Bruce is not Batman. It's not true. It's bullshit. He's not Batman. He is not. Oh, hi, Dick. Remaining unswayed from investigating an enigmatic enclave, a catapulting knave crashes into a clandestine cave. But with the Bat's silver shelf sequestered secret sanctuary suddenly revealed, can Dick survive an incensed servant's gaze of steel? What a rhyme, Batminute. Find out Wednesday. Same Bat Pod, different Batminute. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.